Your goal after watching this video is to be able to tell me what integers are and to be able to calculate absolute values. Alright, so first important thing in this lesson is that you can define what integers are. And this would be an important thing to write down if you don't think you'll remember or you don't already know. So integers are the numbers that include whole numbers, counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, on like that till infinity, okay? That's what those three dots mean. You can just keep going in a similar way to what we've been counting. So 1, 2, 3, keep going. They're opposites, so the negative numbers, the negative counting numbers, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6 zillion, okay? And 0. All right. Integers are not numbers with fractions. So 1 1/4 is not an integer because it has that fraction part. 1.25, so that's 1 1/4 in decimal form, is not an integer because it has that fractional part. -2 3/4 is not an integer because it has that fractional part. -2.75, so the same number in decimal form is not an integer because it has that fractional part. So integers are really pretty nice numbers, no decimals, no fractions, but they also include the negatives and 0. So the question here, integer or not? Integer, raise your hand if you know the answer. Ha, got some of you. You're watching this video at home and you still raised your hand. -66, not a fraction, doesn't have a decimal part, so yes, that is an integer. 2/3, well, fraction right there, no way. All right, 0 is always an integer. 2 65/100 has a decimal part, so that is not an integer. Its opposite, -2 65/100, not an integer. And 1,000,003 is an integer, yes. It's a big number, but it does not have a fraction or a decimal part. Okay, now we get to talk about absolute value. And absolute value is my favorite because it's one of those things that makes you look smart, but it's not hard at all. Okay, so when you see two bars on either side of a number, so a bar on the left and a bar on the right, like you see up here, that means the absolute value of the number inside. So the absolute value of 2. And absolute value is the distance between a number and 0. And that definition is so important. Please, please, please write it down if you don't think you'll remember it. The key word there is distance, okay? So the distance between that number and 0. So when I look at this first example, all right, absolute value of 2. That means find the location of the number inside, which is 2. And then what is its distance from 0? 2 units. So the absolute value of 2 is 2. All right, then if I look at my next example, -2. So I find -2 on a number line. There it is. And I calculate its distance from 0. 1 unit, 2 units. So the absolute value of -2 is also 2. So 2 and -2 have the same absolute value of +2. Now some of you are thinking, wait. You went negative direction. Shouldn't the absolute value of -2 be -2? And I want you to think about this to answer that question. All right, let's say 0 is Birchwood. Okay, and you are going to northern Wisconsin, okay, for the weekend. You're going 90 miles north. So let's say north is this way. You're going to go 90 miles. All right, but one of your friends who also lives in Birchwood is going 90 miles south to Eau Claire. All right, so you know that 90 miles north and 90 miles south are completely opposite directions, right? So one of you is going one way, the other is going the opposite way. But if you're talking to your friend, would either of you say, yeah, I'm going -90 miles to Eau Claire? Have you ever heard anybody say, talk about miles as negative? Or I'm going on a -5 mile bike ride. Or my grandma lives -30 miles away. No, okay? That's because distance is always positive. We always talk about distance as positive. When you add a negative in there, you might be talking about direction, but absolute value is talking about distance. Always, 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 always positive. Positive, positive, positive. Okay? One other thing I would like you to remember, or that will help you remember this, is that I think absolute value bars kind of look like the bars in a jail. Okay? They kind of look like bars in a jail cell. So this poor little number 2 is in jail. Okay? But when we evaluate absolute value, we take him out of jail. And how do people or things feel when they get out of jail? Usually pretty happy and pretty positive. So 2 is happy to be getting out of jail. He's feeling positive, so absolute value is positive. Over here, negative 2 is in jail, but he's getting out, so he feels positive. So numbers that come out of the absolute value jail cell, jail bars, are always positive. A few examples. We just did this one right here. 2 is in jail, feeling pretty negative. He's getting out. Hooray, he's feeling positive. Okay? Negative 3 is in jail, feeling pretty negative. Gets out, feeling positive. Absolute value of negative 3 is positive 3. Absolute value of negative 8 is positive 8. It's 8. Its distance from 0 is 8 units. Negative 10's distance from 0 is 10 units. Yay, out of jail, feeling positive. All right, negative 22, getting out of jail, feeling pretty positive. 12 is feeling positive in jail. Something in jail must have been good, okay? But getting out still feels positive. Negative 42, distance from 0 is 42 units. 23, distance from 0 is 23 units. Feeling positive to be getting out of jail. 40, absolute value of 40 is 40. Absolute value of 9 is 9. And so as you look at these, notice that every single answer is positive. Whether it started out negative or positive, still is positive. Okay, now, final thing on this topic is something that makes it look harder, but it's not too hard, okay? So I want you to think about PEMDAS, which tells you when you do a problem, do the things in parentheses first, or the things that are in grouping symbols. Absolute value bars are a grouping symbol, okay? Just like parentheses, they tell you to do what's inside first before you take it out of the absolute value jail cell, okay? So I'm going to do what's inside first. 12 minus 3 is 9. All right, nothing left inside to do, so I'm going to take it out of absolute value jail. The distance that 9 is from 0 is 9 units. There's the answer, okay? Let's move on to this next example. Okay, so again, look at absolute value bars as a grouping symbol. So do what's inside first. Negative 4. Is there anything I can do to that? Any adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing? Nope. Okay, so I'm going to take it out of jail. And I'm going to do this part. Absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4, but wait. I also have this negative out here in front. Okay, so it came out positive, but then a negative is getting slapped on later. All right, 5 plus the absolute value of 2. Nothing to do inside the absolute value bars, so we'll get the 2 out. 5 plus 2 gives me an answer of 7. All right, and then very similar example down here. Check first inside the grouping symbols or absolute value bars. Get it out of jail. Absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. Then we have this part out here. 5 plus 2, also 7. Please write down one question you have after watching this video, or one comment that you have. Write down something in your math notebook that lets me know you watched the video. So I should be able to look at your question and comment and be like, oh yeah, that was in the video. They definitely watched it. All right? And feel free to write down more than one question if there are parts you didn't understand.